Welcome to the Cutout Workshop. Today we're going to be talking about one of the most common tools used in a woodworking workshop, and that is the humble chisel. I have bought in a second-hand store for £2 this vintage chisel, and we're going to restore it and make it into a useful working tool. So I hope you enjoyed the process. To start with, I'm just going to talk a little bit about the different types of chisel and why I chose this one and what purpose it will serve, which helps with the restoration. So I have lots of chisels. As you would expect, they all have a slightly different purpose. Some would say too many, but that's like asking, do you have too many clamps? So here is the cheapest chisel that you can buy in our local big box store. It's from B&Q. Cost about £7, made by Faithful. Then you have slightly more expensive. A lot of people use Irwin Marples. So these are Marples chisels, and you can see that they've got a metal back for giving it a good pounding. Notice how they don't sort of rest flat. And an older set of Stanleys. And they then became the Stanley Fatmax, and you'll notice all of these have got this bevel on the side, so they're beveled sided chisels, and you'll also notice they obviously come in different widths. Then I've got some older Stanleys. These are not quite vintage, but certainly older. They also come in kits, in packs, so slightly more expensive would be something like these, which are a Stanley Bailey. So they come in a lovely kit with the covers on, and you can see the ferrule here, and also still designed for hitting, and also still with that bevel. That's a nice set of chisels. So that's your classic sort of Stanleys and Faithfuls. There's also a Czech manufacturer called Narex, who make some very nice chisels. So this is a set by Narex. They Czechoslovakian, so made in the Czech Republic, and also useful for a bit of pounding, decent ferrules on there. They're a fine set. Then Narex had a celebration or an anniversary where they came out in recognition of their founder, Mr. Richter, and these are Narex Richters, which are an even nicer steel, and these are, now we're getting into sort of more premium brand, although bang for buck, lots of YouTubers say that these are actually very, very good, and I like these a lot. They're nicely balanced, the steel is very bright, they keep an edge really well. That's a really nice chisel. But just for fun, I also bought the most expensive chisel that was available in the UK. There is another brand, Lee Nielsen, which I don't have. It's often not available. But this is from a company called Veritas out of Canada, and this is about £100. I'll get the exact price. So there's two chisels next to each other. This is £7. This is over £100. What's that? $10 and $120, something like that. Why the difference? Well, already you can see the thickness. There's much more steel in there. The balance. Obviously, this is a plastic handle. This is a beautiful hard wooden handle. There is another route to go though, and that is to buy vintage chisels. So something like this, you can see that I've paid £2, $2.40, and you can see it's nice and thick, but clearly it's pretty blunt. So I do have a selection of vintage chisels that I use, and these are actually working tools. So what do I like about these vintage chisels? Certainly it's the history of them. So this is a Matheson, which is a Scottish brand when there was a lot of shipbuilding on the River Clyde. Learning about the history of them, this is an Isaac Greaves, and they're just beautiful. Some of the handles I recover, so some of them I make myself. This is a composite, cleans up very nicely, but I actually use them as working tools. So here's the question: £7, $10, $110, or $2.40. Can we make it as nice? Now obviously this is a beveled chisel, and this is a straight edge at the sides, but you can see that there's a similar, in fact potentially more steel in this one. Now this is designed for hitting, and this one is designed for much more delicate work, but I think this will be a useful addition to what I use all the time for a reasonable price. So what I'm going to do is separate the metal from the handle, get it all cleaned up, flatten the base. I think there's a manufacturer's name in here. I can't quite tell yet, and so I'm interested to see what make it is, if we can find that out. Then we have to decide for these ferrules, do we clean up and keep the original? Do we manufacture something as a replacement? This handle is beautiful. I'm hoping that we can keep this, but if not, we'll choose a nice wood and turn another one. But it's got a nice feel to it. It feels good in the hand. It's a nice shape, and I'm looking forward to bringing this back to life. So all that's really done is just taken off the loose rust, and obviously we want to get these nice and shiny, and we can have a look at the handle as well and see if we can reuse it. Don't mind about that either way, it's just a little bit more work to make another one, but I quite like this one. So what we want to do now is get off this surface rust and get this to a nice mirror finish. This is 180, this is 80, this is 120. So we're already starting to see that there is a name in there, which I'm very keen to find out what it is. Sheffield. Okay. So I'm getting there. I could carry on with sandpaper, but I'm going to move over to some diamond stones now. So I've got a coarse, a medium and a fine, and I'm just going to work it through. I'm going to put a little bit of fluid on. Just going to use window cleaner. You can see where it's already starting, but this is going to take a while. Now the pattern that you get on the back tells you quite a lot about the steel and the status of the chisel. So you can see this side is already getting shiny compared to this side. So that means this side is high compared to the rest. I mean, I could just flatten this side, but I want the whole lot to be done. So there's some high spots, there's some low spots. In a wider chisel, you might, some of the Japanese, they deliberately forge it such that there's a low spot in the middle. But this I've got to grind out and work out. But already on the coarse finish, you can see that it's going to come up nicely. Okay, so we're making progress. So here's the thing that I'm really focused on at the moment. That curve there, that says that this bit at the edge is slightly lower. So I'm just bringing this whole surface down until I get it completely flat, because that is going to form the bevel, which will form the blade once I do this side. So it's quite a lot of work at this stage, but I'll never need to do it again unless I damage it. But that's what I'm focused on getting rid of. Now this black is obviously bits of steel that I've got into the sandpaper. If you've got good quality sandpaper, you can take one of these, which is like a big eraser for sandpaper. And you can clean it up and get some more life out of it. You maybe do it half a dozen times and then eventually you've lost the grit, but that certainly saves on sandpaper costs. So I've gone up through the grits all the way up to 7,000, so it's now really smooth, and now I'm just really polishing it. And what we're trying to get is that sort of mirror shine. That's what we're looking for. So, giving this a clean. Cleaned up the collets. So now we come to the bit where we actually make it into a useful tool, and we want to sharpen this. And what we're going to do is set a primary bevel. There are many different ways of doing this. It's freehand, with jigs, with machines. I'm going to do it on some diamond stones, and I use a Veritas jig to get the correct angle. So first of all, let's say what width the chisel is. Tighten this up, and it's quite a wide, quite a thick chisel, so I open the jaws up, line this up in here, nice and straight. Obviously you want it to be at 90 degrees. Now this is going to take a long time because it's going to be a different angle to what I've set it. I'm going for 25 degrees as my primary bevel. I'm going to take this off, and that now means that this is resting at a specific angle, so when I put it onto these sharpening stones I can get fixed angle. So let's have a look at what it is at the moment. So I'll start with my course and just have a look, see just how much grinding we're going to have to do. So we start off like this. Right, so you can see that that has taken that edge there, and we need to keep going until all of that is gone. There's a lot of steel to come off here, but it is the only time I need to do this, and it does make it into a chisel that I can use. Quite a long way to go. You can also use the same boards I was using yesterday. Just have to be careful not to get hot. You don't want to heat this steel up at all. So you can see now we're about halfway, but this is going to take a long time. I'll see you in a minute. Okay, so these are great. Coarse, medium, fine diamond stones. You can get various qualities and various prices, and using this honing guide where you can get the angle that you want set exactly is, oh hello, the angle set exactly is great. You see that I've been spraying it with water to keep the blade cool and to clean off. Come on then. Come on, Toff. Come on, up you come. So, these are great, keeping them wet. They last for a long time. They're a good investment. If you've got, you know, a reasonable number of things to sharpen, you can do knives on them, chisels, hand plane blades. But with the number that I have and the time that I want to spend sharpening, I went for a better system, a more expensive system. So imagine this, you could have a continuous piece of it. The way you would do that is have it in a loop, and rather than just spraying it with water, you would dip it into water. So you get something like this, which is a wheel, and that then dips into some treated water and then keeps this surface wet, cool. This is a diamond wheel, comes with the Tormek system, and there are several different grades. So I've got a coarse, a fine and an extra fine. This is the extra fine, and being able to use that system has meant that I've been able to sharpen to that standard and with repeatable success. So very happy with it. I've sharpened all the kitchen knives and lots of hand plane blades and a variety of chisels. Still got plenty to go, but really happy with the results. So here's the famous test. What everybody on YouTube does. Does it work? Yes. There we have it. It is a F. Woodcock Sheffield framing chisel, fully restored and ready for use. It is beautifully sharp and beautifully restored. The question is, does it need to be? Does it need to be that sharp? Like a surgical blade, because obviously when you start using it, it is going to lose that. However, it does make some of the work, particularly with end grain, easier. Just knowing that you can restore something you bought for £2 or $2.40 that can take an edge like that is very satisfying. This will become a tool that I use with my other chisels, and it's just beautifully balanced, nice solid handle, and very pleased with that. I hope you enjoyed that. That was a fun project. Obviously I spent a bit more money on the Tormek system, but already I've used it a lot, and you don't need it just to restore one chisel. You can get the same results. That's been a lot of fun, and we'll see you soon. I've got quite an exciting project coming up, which is more of a restoration project.